the Know Your Gear podcast. The Know Your Gear podcast is brought to you by Patreon members, channel members, and viewers who like and subscribe. Thank you for making this possible.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Know Your Gear podcast, episode 435. 345. It's 345. 435. 467. Anyways, 67. Anyways, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about guitar stuff. That's probably what we're going to do. Hope everybody had a fantastic week. I have some cool stuff. I think I have a good guitar of the week this week. We have some gear of the week to talk about. We have some great already loaded questions. And a little bit of a mystery to solve. We have a small mystery to solve this week, which I hope, a gear mystery. Maybe that's a new thing, gear mysteries, right? Anyways, okay. So, what are we going to get into? I don't know. We should get into a couple things. First, I just want to thank the moderators. You can tell who they are. They got names in blue. They got blue wrenches. They're here to help you. They're here to take care of you. So please take care of them. And I want to thank the patrons and the channel members who support this for 435 episodes. It's pretty cool. And that's about it. That's it. And when I say I thank them, I think when I want to say I thank them is not only for making this happen, but also for you guys. You know, there's no ads when you're live with me right now. There's no ads if you pay for the $5 premium, whatever, patron member, channel member, if you don't want to watch it. There's no ads if you listen to it streaming on the audio platforms. But more importantly, even if you have to sit through the insufferable advertisements of YouTube, at least I'm not reading on average 12 to 25 minutes of ad copy. So that's great. You don't have to hear that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Feels good. Okay, let's get into a couple subjects right away. And this came from a patron. It was sent to us, and Shauna asked me to go over this one. And there it is. Okay, this one is, hey, Phil, not sure if this is the right place. Hey, if this ain't the right place to talk about it, then I guess there's no right place. But I have a couple questions for the podcast Friday. First, you see Gibson and PRS selling guitars with high-end maple flame tops. Why is it that PRS seems to get much better maple than Gibson? Question mark. Any thoughts? Question marks. Okay, so let's start with that one. I have heard over the years, many years, from many different suppliers, manufacturers, I should say, that they get the best tops always because they always say the same thing. I mean, I'm not to dog on all of them because a lot of them are my friends I'm going to be dogging on right now, but hey, bust their chops. They'll give it back to me, I'm sure, later. Everyone always says, I pay the most for my wood, or I pay up front cash, or whatever. They always have some reason why their wood's the best. I buy the best wood, or I have the best of wood supplier. What I've experienced, a weird experience like yours that happened to me a long time ago when you're saying, hey, why is the PRS tops maple caps, nicer than Gibson's? I always thought that, why were the Carvin tops way nicer than PRS? Like, PRS would talk about how they have the most amazing, beautiful wood tops. And every time you get the Carvin catalog, it was like every picture of every guitar looked like peanut butter, just that quilted maple was gorgeous. And I was like, I don't know, why is the Carvin guitars, and the Carvin guitars were way less than PRS, and it never made sense to me. And now over the years, here's what I have come to kind of decide for myself based on, let's just say a couple dozen or more factory tours. More guitars you make, the less pretty tops you're going to have out there, period. So to say, like, what if I said to you, to answer your question, that Gibson absolutely has tops as good as, if not better than PRS, and so does Kiesel, and so does, Nags, and so on and so on and so on. But the problem is that Gibson makes so many more guitars that, one, you're going to see more duds than you would see because just the sheer volume, right? It's just like a car manufacturer that makes a lot more cars. You're going to say, oh, why are we seeing that car particularly broke down? You're going to go, well, they make a lot more of them. So even if their percentage was the same, you're just going to physically see more cars. Same thing with tops. You're just going to see better tops and worse tops when there's a bigger volume of them. Plus, there's a hierarchy to the maple caps at Gibson and PRS, which is, PRS, it's private stocks get the best, then artists, then 10 tops, then, just standard cores. Gibson kind of follows suit with that same kind of logic with, the premium tops are going to go on the custom shops. So your custom shops are going to be better looking than, let's say, your production guitars. But in my experience with this is just it's as simple as if they make less guitars, you're going to see more percentage of great tops because that they can sort through the wood a little differently. I think when you see guitar companies that are smaller than PRS, I think they have much better tops. I think PRS has much better tops than Gibson. And again, it's just a volume thing. Think about it like logistically. Let's say you wanted a perfect maple cap, but you want 10 million of them versus 100,000 versus 10,000 versus 1,000 versus 100. It's a lot harder to supply that. So that's kind of it. Plus, also on a side note, just to give Gibson some credit because they probably deserve it, they're not really known for that. Gibson wasn't, PRS is one of the companies, people give PRS a lot of credit because they don't have a memory past, for some reason, 1990. When you think of the glamorous quilt tops, the flame maple tops, I mean, sure, PRS was definitely the first one to kind of garn itself, on a guitar magazine. But don't forget companies like Warrior and Hamer. There were some companies doing amazing wood tops before PRS was really pushing it. And PRS is definitely one of those companies, like I said, they kind of push that as their selling point. Look at this beautiful wooden piece of furniture kind of look to it. Where, Gibson just has more, even though it's expensive like anything else, it's more like an every player's kind of guitar in the kind. Well, look behind me, like right now. Look at this this beautiful PRS Maple cap guitar I have in the blue and gray versus this custom shop Gibson right here with this flame maple top. Just looking at them. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to grab it. Hold on, let's grab it. I don't know the answer. All right, let's take a vote. These are both. Now, I'm going to show you which top. So for those listening later, I'm just holding up two guitars that are gorgeous maple caps. There's the PRS guitar right here in the blue, and this beautiful Gibson custom shop guitar. Now, something to point out, this PRS is not a 10 top, just a regular top. And this Gibson, of course, is, got one of those medallion custom shoppy things on there. So let me know in the comments which one you think is a more gorgeous maple cap. Now, don't grade the color or the brand. Be fair. If you're anti-Gibson, anti-PRS, don't play that game. Just tell me which top you think looks better. And I think the Gibson custom shop, obviously top, looks gorgeous. Yeah, Susan says it depends on the color. Yeah, I mean, to me, looking at them, I don't really got a hardline opinion on that. I would say, overall, I would expect to see PRSs with better tops. But again, it's also their selling point over Gibson, since Gibson standards tend to not have, flame maple tops. They tend to have plain maple caps. Okay. He has a second part of this question, which is really good. Let's see what it is. It is, I recently took my guitar to a tech that was fairly well recommended. When I went in to drop it off, his bench was just a mess. Globs of solder everywhere, tools lying everywhere, and it was just messy workstation. Do you have any tips as to what to look for when taking a guitar into a tech? Was I right to just leave? Is the reputation a final factor? Well, I'm going to steal this from Shauna because she sent these questions to me because she already read them and she was going to answer them to you. And then, she said, go with your gut. I think that's always smart advice. Always take that, not only from a woman, but from a mother. Trust your gut. I think there's some kind of something in the universe. My friend who's a hand surgeon says always trust the mother when it comes to what to do medically with the kids. They just have this intuition. I'll go with it. He's a smart guy. I kind of trust that logic too. So she says go with your gut. You did the right thing. But let me break it down into some logic that might help. I used to keep my workstation super clean. Have you guys been watching this channel long enough? You saw the original workstations you saw were actually my workstations when I was a guitar tech at my store. And then, of course, then it became my workstation where I had people come to me outside the store. And then, of course, now it's just for educational purposes only at this point. Either way, my stations were always super, super clean. You don't see a whole lot of garbage and stuff on my bench. I don't put carpet on my bench. I don't want carpet at all because of that reason. Soldered gloves onto it, and I want to be able to have a clean, fresh station every time. So I use different pads, one for soldering, one for fretwork, or anything that's going to have metal filing in it, are what I call hard work. So anytime I'm doing any kind of really aggressive stuff, maybe sanding, anytime there's going to be particles in this mat. And then, of course, I have a clean mat for setups because, again, I just don't want any of those things to scratch the back of the guitar. Couple things. First, I think I actually care about your guitar. So, of course, I kind of took that as hey, I would want to trust, I would want you to trust me with your guitar. I would want to trust somebody if I was giving my guitar. That was kind of my reason for it. But there's also a secondary reason, which is one damaged guitar would financially blow out my week if it was the right guitar. So, imagine, if you will, just throwing some arbitrary numbers. What if you made $1,000 a week and you got a $2,000 guitar sitting on your bench and you damage it? That's your week. It's gone. At the very least, it's gone. You make nothing. You're going to work all week for nothing because, it's not like some other repair industries where you make a lot more money and there's a lot less stuff to destroy. I mean, I understand some repair industries are even harder than mine for sure. But I'm just saying you really can't afford to destroy anybody's product. But the other secondary thing is the reason why I keep my bench clean is I always thought, I don't want you to think that if you, like, let's say you pick up your guitar, look, we're all the same. You pick up your guitar, you don't remember that scratch there. You don't remember that mark. You don't remember that. It happens all the time. Did it always there? Especially if I used. You're like, was that always there? I just recently actually had that happen with a guitar where there's a little, not chip, there's a little small micro crack kind of in the finish of a neck of a guitar. And it's on the treble side facing towards the floor of the neck. And I'm like, was that there when I bought it? Did I not notice that? I just can't remember. And I looked in the case to see if anything happened or anything. And my point is, the last thing I would want for me to happen to me, and of course, is that somebody find that and go, well, was that messy tech with his crappy bench? Did it happen there? Did he scratch it? Did he just drop his screwdriver because they didn't care? And I think that's why your work area should help there to build a rapport and also help kind of give the customer some ease of mind. I'm a little sensitive to this question because when I started on YouTube, I got a lot of grief for having clean areas. I never thought that would ever happen to me. It almost got to the point where I have to admit I wouldn't make my area a mess, but it's a little less organized than sometimes than I'd probably keep it. Because so many people commented negatively about how clean my work areas were. Like, why are your tools all put away all the time? And I'm like, well, this is just how I built how I'm going to work. I pull the tool out I need, I do the work, and I put the tool back. I keep the areas clean. If you brought me an expensive guitar, I not only keep it on the clean mat. I usually buy those Kirkland microfiber cloths, those yellow ones, and I will put brand new ones underneath the base of your guitar where it sits and over the cradle where it holds your neck. So I know, your guitar never touched anything but a brand new clean cloth, surface. And again, just because it's financially just really a mess for me, but also I think, like I said, it makes you a little nervous. And I think that's what you were experiencing. You went there and he probably does great work. Some people who work in a mess, it all makes sense to them. And that doesn't necessarily mean he does bad work. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad tech. It doesn't mean anything. And sadly enough, he lost a client because of that. But, hopefully, like you said, he has a great reputation. His reputation pulls people in. But even if a tech had a great reputation, I don't think if I got a bad vibe. I will tell you this, and this is the hardest thing to say. And I'm not going to give a percentage because I just don't know. I'm just going to say the majority, the mass majority of experiences I've had in my life as a guitar player taking my guitar to a tech have been horrible. It's been one horrible experience after another. Every horrible experience you can think of. Somebody overcharged me for basically doing nothing. They flat out lied to me. You know, when I moved to Phoenix, when I got out of the Army, because what happened was I was living in Tucson. I went in the Army. When I got out of the Army, I moved to Phoenix because for the economy, you know, hey, maybe there's jobs here. And when I got here, every musician, first thing I did is I started jamming with musicians and, you know, for fun. And every musician in town was like, this is the guitar tech to go to. He's the best. He does famous people. It's always like he does some famous person's guitar, which I think is just a load of crock. Anyways, absolute worst experience ever. I bought a brand new Warwick bass. Well, it was new to me, used, I guess. Anyways, but it was a beautiful Warwick bass that I had. And it was the lower tier of the made in Germany Warwick. And I wanted to put some better pickups in it. And I bought the I'm sorry. If I would have bought the pickups, I went to his shop and he was like, I said, hey, I want to order these pickups and I want to, put them in this bass. And long story short, I dropped it off. 3 months later, I was like, okay, I waited. That's what sometimes you do. You just wait forever. You're like, you don't want to piss them off because then they're notoriously known for putting your guitar in the back and not working on it. And I went into his shop after 3 months and I said, hey, I'm just checking on my bass. And he said, oh, I ordered the pickups. They sent the wrong pickups. And I'm like, oh my God, they sent the wrong pickups. He's like, yeah, these were the wrong size. And I was like, how is that possible? They're just J bass. There were 2 J pickups. And he's like, yeah, they sent me two and they don't fit. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, whatever, dude. Okay. And 3 more months went by. Then I started calling him when he would answer. And his shop, by the way, this is a shop. And if you're in the Phoenix area, you know who this person is. Everybody knows who he is. Most famously, he shot his gun off in his shop apparently there's a hair salon next door. And he shot the gun through the wall into there's an article, so you can probably Google it and find it. Everybody said he was amazing. And every time I was having this experience where it's like 6 months and it's just a pickup swap, and this is like, you can imagine the pain. You guys all have it too. This is the bass I have. I love it. I haven't even played it. I had it for a couple weeks and now he's had it for half a year, so what's funny is finally I called, every couple of weeks I'd call again. And finally he was like, it's ready. And I came in to pick it up and I remember handing him my credit card and he was like, can't you read? Which apparently I can't read. He's making fun of me for not being able to read. And there was a sign under the counter low, I guess I was too tall for it, that said no credit cards. And I said, oh, where should I get some cash? And he goes, try a bank. So I got in my truck and I drove up and down. This is so long ago, no GPS, no nothing. Just driving up and down the street all the way up looking for a bank and our ATM. And I finally found one, got the cash, went and gave him the cash, got my bass. And it wasn't even wired up correctly. But here's what's interesting about that. It was a horrible experience. And this is why I tell you the story, not to share an experience of a tech that's not even doing stuff anymore. It's what I learned from this experience. Over the years, I would still hear people say, oh, he's the best. He's the best. Later, through time, obviously I started building basses. I started fixing things. I opened my own shop. I become a tech. I become backlogged. Still to that day, people would come in. And this is what would happen. People would come in and say, so-and-so, this person, just ruined my instrument. Or screwed it up. Or halfway through it, refused to keep working on it because I upset him. And I would get those stories weekly. Horrible, horrible stories. And then what's strange about that is every week I would also hear, he's the best. He only works on my stuff. He's amazing. He's like no one does, like no offense, Phil, you just don't do work as good as him. He's the best. Hey, I like you, buddy, but he's the best. He did this. Look at what he did. And they would show me his work. It's amazing. It's amazing. And through time, finally, I demystified the mystery. This isn't the mystery we're going to solve today, by the way. If he likes you, right? If he likes you, he does good work. And if he doesn't, and guess what I found out? When I first went to him, I was working a corporate job. And because I had a corporate job, I had to wear slacks and a dress shirt. And I think a tie. I think I was wearing a tie. I think you had to wear a tie. So And one day somebody says he hates wannabes. And so if you came in and he thought you were a hobbyist or a wannabe, which apparently I was with my shirt and dress slacks, he just hated you and just wouldn't do good work. And then I heard that, and I'm going to tell you right now, every time somebody came and told me a story, not to hurt any of their feelings, when they were like, he's horrible, I'd go look him up and down and go, that's what I would call a wannabe like me, not dressed right, not the real deal. So go with your gut is what I'm trying to say. And that's why, and that's also to answer your question, why a guitar tech can have a great reputation and also be as shitty as hell. I mean, that is absolutely the truth. Trust me, the person who that guy shot at one day probably doesn't think he's a great tech and doesn't tell great stories. And so yeah, that's just how it goes. And it's a funnier story for local people in Arizona because everybody kind of knows him. And I don't know if he's still working on stuff or not. So, but it's just how it goes. There's millions of those stories in the biz. It's a weird industry, right? I don't know. I don't understand it sometimes. But that hopefully answers your tech question. Good job. And also to the rest of techs, keep your bench clean. I think it's a good business decision. So, and then the real RD says, what does the real deal dress like? I'm going to say not like me. So I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. I don't know. We gotta move on. We gotta move on. We just gotta move on. All right. The Alexander wants to know, Phil, would you prefer a maple cap over veneer? I have no preference whatsoever. One of the confusing things that I've done to you and to myself, and I really am trying to rectify it over the years, is in a deep dive video, I point out things like recently I just did the new Ibanez, and I'm like, hey, it's a 3-piece, basswood body, and I used to just say that, hey, it's a 3-piece body. And I would draw like I did this week, with a Sharpie, just like, hey, this is where the parts are. Or, hey, this is a scarf joint. Here's the scarf joint. Or here, this is a maple cap with a flame maple veneer. And I would explain this. And even when I did the Fenders earlier this year in January, I would say they took a YouTube short. I say I don't know what you call it. Our team, it's us as a team now. There's a bunch of us now. And a lot of people are like, they think I was saying something negative when I point those things out. I really just pointing it out for your educational purposes. My only thought process when it comes to how many pieces a wood body has and how many, whether or not it's a veneer or a real maple cap, whether it's a 1/2-inch maple cap or a 1/4-inch maple cap or a veneer, whether or not it's a scarf joint or a 1-piece neck, whether it's quarter sawn or flat sawn, or whether or not it's, multi-laminate or not. My only thoughts on all that have to do with the price. In other words, I don't care as long as I'm not paying for something I'm not getting. So, and that's really not something that's easy to write down and quantify. But what I mean by that is I wouldn't want to pay $5,000 for a guitar with a veneer top, a 3-piece body, and, like a scarf joint. Not that a scarf joints, see, like I said, not that I'm saying any of those things are bad. In fact, most of my guitars have scarf joints and I actually have no issues with them. I like them. I'm just saying, if you're paying, I guess it kind of same logic with anything that I think is a luxury. If I'm buying luxury items, the best, leathers, chairs, I wouldn't want to go to Copenhagen and buy a $6,000, vinyl chair. I would expect that now it's going to be actual leather, it's going to actually be made really well somewhere. So that's only my thought process on it. So no, I don't care about veneers and stuff. I have not experienced personally the magic that is if this is a 1-piece top with a nitro finish and a 1-piece neck, that it somehow resonates and is more magical sounding than a multi-piece body with a veneer and a scarf joint neck. It's my argument is that usually the thing that's going to make the guitar the best is how well it plays. In other words, how well the action doesn't buzz, how well the string actually gets to move without being obstructed by anything. How good the pickups are is a big part of it. So when I'm assigning things to a value to me for how well a guitar is, like in quality, I'm really more assigning things to the way it plays more so than the way it looks. I think veneers are great. Personally, I think it's a great way to guarantee everybody gets a great top if that's what you're into. Interesting enough, to give you a point about that, I purposely I do not have great looking quilt tops or flame tops on most of my guitars. Now, I just showed you two that do, but I mean, like most of my guitars, like there's some washout on that PRS CE over here I'm pointing at. And most guitars that I buy, if they do have a maple top, I don't really worry about it. And if you notice when I'm doing the videos again, somebody will go, I can't believe Phil didn't call out how ugly that piece of wood was. I actually like the imperfections in wood now because that means it's not a veneer. And it's, again, not that I don't like veneers. It's just kind of like, hey, it lets you know it's a real piece of wood, and because otherwise there's no reason with veneers not to have an amazing top on every guitar. If you watch that PRS SE video, which I hope you guys do, the factory tour, I just finished the Cortec one, and the patrons got the preview of it. It'll be edited a little bit from what the patrons see. There'll be a little bit more added to it. Not so much removed, but added to it. But if you watch the SE factory video that I did this week or last week, was this week? I think it was this week. They talk about the veneers, and it was really interesting. I mean, basically, veneers allow them to give everybody a beautiful looking guitar. So, the argument though against, just for you, so you have just not just my side of the argument. Some arguments are that the veneers, again, you're just gluing that on, and more sheets of glue stop the guitar from resonating, kills, and that's the argument. I really don't care. You can make a whole guitar out of glue. I wouldn't even care. So now, when I say that, as long as it sounded and played great, that's ultimately what it is. You pick things up and they play great or they don't play great. They sound great or they don't sound great. And I can't figure it out sometimes myself. Sometimes a guitar that should be on paper magic just is like okay, and a guitar that should be sound like a concrete block sounds good. So the argument that I've heard from the majority of people I respect in the industry, behind the scenes, secretly, without you guys knowing and not being videoed, I'm just kidding, is that it really comes down to how well it's made, not what it's made of. And I think that's a great argument. I think that's, if you gave someone who doesn't have a clue all the right components, right, they would put you together a really great component piece of crap. And if you gave somebody who knew what they're doing and knew how to build an instrument really well, and you gave them some, we talked about this once before. One day we got to get Paul Reed Smith to do it. He said this publicly once, that he'd like to do a competition with like John Suhr and all these guys where they're forced to go to Home Depot and come out and build you a guitar from only stuff they get at Home Depot. And it seems a little, clickbaity weird, but boy, I really think it'd be interesting to see what they come up with if restricted. So yeah. Let's see. James wants to know, hey Phil, how about a podcast episode for us bass players? All right, I wouldn't even know how to do that. I mean, ask me a bass question. We'll talk about bass. Guitar players will let us talk about bass for like 10 minutes. That's the cutoff, and then they fade out. Okay, let's see. Alexander wants to know, hey Phil, when I bought a guitar, an affordable PV guitar at the end of the 90s, I was told that the maple top was actually photo print. Is that true? Yeah, it's called a photo top, photo finish. Yeah, just like, if you're like me, I grew up, we never had real wood furniture. I don't think we have real wood furniture now, but we didn't have, like, all my furniture was like vinyl, right, on particle board. So my dresser and stuff, and then what happened is the corners would always peel, and then you could see the particle board, and the vinyl was like a picture of wood. So every piece of furniture I grew up with it was a picture of wood just glued to a particle board, because that's what you could afford, I guess. That's what my parents bought. So Matt says photo flame. Yeah, photo finish, photo flame. I think photo flame is correct, Matt. I believe you're correct. So same kind of logic. It wasn't as easy then like it is now to make a veneer like they do now. Like I said, look at that. I just said "wook it" with a W. Look at that! Look at that! That PRS SE factory tour where Jack shows the veneers, and it's really crazy. They are super thin. I mean, super thin. And they have to be, because you have to bend them. They have to bend to the contours of the top of the guitar and stuff, and that's how they vacuum down and bend them and glue them down. So before that, they would use essentially you're right, like a decal. It was like vinyl, I think. Some kind of, material like that. I'm not really sure. To be honest, by the time, you said the end of the 90s, by the time I got into playing guitar for real, like, in other words, like, in a way that, any meaningful way, that stuff was gone. I would hear about it. Fender was apparently notorious for doing it. They would put a photo flame top on the top of the guitar, and then on the bottom, and then they would use like plywood to make the guitar, and then they would airbrush the sides, so the sides would be dark and you can't see, and then it looked like it had real wood, but it was just a photo flame. So Dennis says the photo flames cracked a lot. That would make sense. What's sad is I'm sure I've seen a photo flame, especially a Fender, and I think Fender was more notorious for that, the photo flames. I'm sure I've seen some, but I haven't seen any like that I can think of. Like, oh yeah, that was definitely it. I just know models. What I remember the most is that older guys would tell me that veneers that I was looking at, like Schecter's, were photo flame tops, and I was like, no, this is a real top. And they go, a veneer, and they go, no, it's photo. It's a photo of wood. It's like a picture of wood. And I go, no, it's really a piece of wood. It's just really thin. And that's because they remember it went their way. And by the time I was involved with guitars in a real meaningful way, like I said, veneers had taken over. Irregular Star says, hey, Phil, why do you think there are so few options when it comes to solid body electric guitars with the piezo pickups? What are your experiences with ones you've tried on custom fitted? Most of the time, they don't sound great. That's the big thing. It's really it has a use, obviously, but it doesn't sound great. The most I've ever installed of any of those is like the Ghost systems, always into strats. Like, always a strat guy trying to have a strat that does it all, right? Like a humbucker, and then two single coils. They get the rock sound, they get their blue sound, and then they get the acoustic sound. And and what I remember most was what you got was something that did everything mediocre. But hey, if it worked, it's versatile, it's great. But it's tough. But that's the main thing. Part of the other problem too is they didn't do it right, which is you're going to run it through some kind of acoustic preamp or into an acoustic amplifier of some sort. But they don't sound great. I own a bunch of guitars that have that. My Parkers have it. I have two PRSs with it. I have a Music Man with it, with the piezo in the electric guitar. What else do I have? I have a Kiesel that has it. And what I've kind of weirdly learned is semi-hollow guitars, and the more hollow the guitar, the better, tend to sound more acoustic with that transducer pickup than solid body guitars. And that's probably just how the string resonates, just how the string moves. Something about maybe the hollow just makes the acoustic, the string have more of what you detect as an acoustic sound. That could be it. Who knows? But 60 Hum says, piezo pick electronics were the rage in the 90s and the early 2000s. It was huge. It was, because it became a thing that everybody was like, I could have it all. I could have it all. Every sound ever. So I don't know if is that gone? Not that. Just that whole, like, if you think about it, for the longest time ever, everything was about having every sound. Like when you think about the Line 6 kidney bean, when you think about, guitars with, synth in them, and the roll-in pickups and stuff, and coil splits and coil taps, everything was about, having it all. You could have every sound. It was almost like the industry decided that we were all wedding, we all played in wedding bands and we needed every sound to every song. We were going to do everything from, you never know what the bridesmaid's going to request. You got to be able to do everything, right? Grooms are going to be like, play Metallica, and the bridesmaids are like, play Cyndi Lauper, and you got to be able to go through, you got to play, Cyndi Lauper ballad, and then you got to go right into a Pantera cover. You need every tone available. And it seemed like that was a driving point forever. And what's funny about that is you could say that modeling with the Axe effects and the Kempers is about that now, but it's really not about that. It's about getting different tones, but not the actual sounds. What I mean by that is, having an acoustic sound, having a Strat sound, having a Les Paul sound, having a 12-string sound, like a Rickenbacker, having all those sounds versus just having like a Marshall tone and a Fender tone and a Mesa Boogie tone. I think those are two different kinds of thought process. And I think personally, what we learned is when everybody chased down that road, they found exactly what I was saying, which is you can't have it all, and if you need it, it's great. In fact, that's how I'll end this little part right here. I actually think that's the lesson learned here. If you need to be able to play 12-string in one song and the next song play an acoustic and the next song play a Pantera cover and the next song you need, a Telecaster tone, if you need all this stuff, I understand it. It makes total sense. But if you just want it because you just want it, what I'll tell you is you'll never use it. And the reason is because what I learned, just because guys would buy that stuff or have me modify guitars for them, if you have 30 guitars and you don't have a real purpose to need 30 different guitars sounds, like on stage quickly, you're never going to play the fakey thing. You're going to play the real things. You're going to grab your real 12-string and your real acoustic and your real, that's just my 2 cents on that. So, yeah, but I mean, I think about this, it was all the rage. Remember when the Variacs were huge, and then of course, Fender had one. So everybody was doing it. This question is, hey Phil, why do you think PRS does not make gloss black core guitars? In fact, they only have the model in S2 line, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I'm sure. Here's what I'll tell you, just to make it easy for you. They absolutely did do black gloss guitars in the core and the CEs. Absolutely. So they did that, and I remember one year. It's a funny story. This is a funny story. If you guys remember when Sweetwater back before COVID used to do the what do they call that? The gear thing. Gear Fest, for real, right? Back when it was real. So basically it was like 2 days or 1 day. It was like a Saturday, and they'd have all the vendors come and they'd sell, SM57 microphones for like 50 cents or whatever. And they'd, give away stickers and picks and stuff. And you would have smoking deals and they would blow out. In fact, that was the main thing. By the way, if you guys don't know this little top secret stuff, they had Gear Fest for the longest time. They would do that every year. And it was very expensive for them to do, not only physically, for employee costs, but also just physically doing it. But it had a purpose, which is to blow out all the gear that wouldn't sell. And then COVID came, and so they started doing like a digital version where they'd invite YouTubers. As you know, I went to one of them, and a lot of people thought, oh, okay, when COVID goes away, they'll bring it back, and they really never brought it back the same way. And a lot of people have some misconceptions of why. The main reason why they never brought it back was. They really don't have to blow out gear like they used to. First of all, sales have been way stronger for them than they've ever been before, but also they're very smart and more strategic about what they buy because of analytics, the analytics they have. So why I told you that long story is to tell you this. One year, I think it was 2019, I think it was the last year of the Gear Fest. If you went to the PRS booth, it was hilarious because they had crap tons of black core guitars that they couldn't sell. And the reason, so you're asking the question, so why don't they do it? I don't know if they're not doing it anymore. I'm going to tell you what happened. So no one would pay full price for the guitars. And everybody uses the same math, which is like, oh, okay, a custom 24 in gloss black. Well, that should be like $1,000 less than the flame maple top. And PRS logic was, no, it's the same price. It's the same. And because there was no discount for it, they wouldn't do it. So, or they did it and people wouldn't pay it. So I just remember Sweetwater got stuck with a crap ton of them. So I remember the booth was like, it looked like the PRS booth was in mourning. It was really sad. It was a sad booth. It was like, it's like you almost thought like, why did PRS, because people didn't know that PRS didn't bring those guitars, that they were just there. And then they were using the guitars that Sweetwater has. So it was just kind of funny that they're all black, tons of black guitars. So that is the reason for that. Okay. The good news is this. Absolutely, you can call any real decent PRS dealer and tell them whatever PRS core guitar you want in gloss black. They will absolutely order it for you. They will absolutely probably get it for you. When I say absolute, I mean, I can't imagine they're going to say no, but you're going to get no discount for it whatsoever. So you're going to pay full price for the guitar to be black. Okay. We have this one. What do we have? This is from Clan of House Cats, who said, hey, thank you, Ace. He says, for inspiring all of us guitar players to pick up the guitar. I feel like we were all just getting over what happened to Ozzy. So if you guys didn't hear, Ace Frehley passed away this week. I didn't get to see how old he was. The Ace, this is always tough. You know, we lose these legendary guitar players. And Ace Frehley, I'd never seen him. You know, I saw Kiss once, and it was the version of Kiss where it was just Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, and that's it. It's like, and I don't even remember the two other people. I apologize. I just don't remember them. I don't even think, I don't even know if when I saw them, those guys weren't just like stand-in studio musician guys, or if they were some kind of unofficial or official part of the band. I just don't remember. So I don't have a real, I don't have a memory of Ace Frehley, so you guys know. What I remember about Ace Frehley, besides the makeup and the look, is that he's a great guitar player. I remember that I remember his Les Paul had the dual cream DiMarzio pickups. Does that sound familiar? Or am I totally mistaken that? I know it had smoke. It shot smoke out. Like, that's the thing I remember. It's like, oh my God, his guitar has smoke come out of it. It's like crazy. It's just. It's horrible losing these amazing talents, for sure. And my heart goes out to his family, and play a Kiss song this weekend for him. That's definitely something you should do. Honor him in the best way you can. Nathaniel says, hey, Phil, I love the channel. Thank you for the compliment. He says, thanks for all you do. Really appreciate the honesty, integrity in your reviews. Hands down, best YouTube guitar channel ever. That, dude, you just wanted to say that's nice. I'm waiting for the question. I'm like reading, so you know. Nathaniel, first of all, thank you so much. Like, heartfelt thank you. Second, sometimes I realize there's something wrong with me because I was reading it. I was waiting for but. So you've noticed that when I was reading, I was waiting for a comma where it's like, but. So thank you for not having a but and just saying a nice thing. Okay. But he's got more. He says, ordering my first Kiesel on Black Friday. Any common mistakes to avoid with custom guitar? Torn between the Osiris Delos or the headless Delos. Never had headless. Is that a bad idea for my first Kiesel? Do you ever miss not having HSS? Okay, couple things here. First of all, I kind of think Kiesel kind of dominates in the headless category. So if you like headless guitars, I think it's going to be hard for you to not like one of the Kiesels because their variety is really great, and I think they do a great headless guitar. They're my favorite headless instrument. However, we're going off the assumption you don't know because you've never had one. It is a different animal. It's tricky. I will tell you though that I really believe that Kiesel will become a timeless instrument in the headless category. And what I mean by that is, I think Gibson and Fender, obviously, and now we're seeing PRS kind of float in there, become these timeless instruments where it's like, 10 years ago, it doesn't matter. 20 years ago, it doesn't matter how old it is. In fact, older is better. Where some companies are really about the newest thing. And I think what happens is they just become more iconic. And I think that Kiesel's really kind of found a niche with headless. I'm not going to show it to you because I'm doing a video, but I just got a new headless Kiesel. It was actually mistakenly in my Ibanez video. So if you guys saw my Ibanez video, it's behind me. And just to show you how literally I can just not pay attention. When I came in, I filmed that whole video, and then I did the last part in this room, and I came in and I just must have blocked that it was right there. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that got leaked out. So anyways, but I have a video talking about that and why I picked it. So that's my thoughts on that. Headless is definitely a strong candidate. Mistakes buying online. I think the biggest mistake, since Kiesel neck profiles, like the way the car feels in the back, it's pretty standard. Where you go thick, thin, or regular, it's going to be, they're so close to each other, I don't think it even matters. I think the real problem for a lot of players that I've talked to is the radius of the fretboard. And so I would not get adventurous. I did one Kiesel guitar build out of all the builds I've done where I picked a radius that was not my typical go-to thing. And it's the one guitar, even though I love the guitar, I love the way it looks, I love the way it sounds, and I like the way it feels. The one negative is I almost did it twice. I almost thought, like, maybe I'll just pull these frets, reshape the fretboard, and throw the frets back on. Because I was like, did I pick the wrong radius? But I've kind of learned to love it, right? So I would pick the radius that you're most familiar with, if that means anything. And then to your second part of your question is, how do I miss not having HSS? I have HSS. I just don't have it in my Kiesel. So you got to understand, like, one benefit of having multiple guitars is when I have my Delos done, it's like kind of like, oh, I have a single Strat. I have an HSS Strat. And now I have this HH Kiesel, that I use. But I do have another Kiesel Delos that we'll call prototype right now that I'm messing with. It's just another Delos, and it has a HSS pickguard that I've dropped into it and I'm messing with, because I do kind of think about having HSS version as well, but it'll be different. It'll be a different HSS than what you're thinking of. But I love HSS. It's probably one of my favorite go-to instruments is HSS. Okay. This one says, Happy Good Thing says, hey, to his credit, PRS, Jack, Paul Reed Smith, Jack. So I think he's talking about Jack Higginbotham. Seemed to look... Wait, I have no idea what you're saying. To his credit, PRS Jack seemed look a Tonewood realist. Find something good and use it. Love the show. I think I know what you mean. I don't know what you mean, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out before we go, I think. Okay, let's do Guitar of the Week.
Now it's time for Guitar of the Week.
Okay, so Guitar of the Week. Let's take a look. We got to go down our mystery. We're going to solve a mystery. I've been meaning to do this, a little bit of research. I thought, hey, why not do it on the podcast? It's like, I'm sure some of you guys get to enjoy when you have a job, you get to do some personal stuff on your work time. You're like, that's pretty smart, right? You're like, ha ha ha, I'm I don't know. I'm paying my car insurance bill on my boss's dime. I don't really have that experience because, everything's on my dime. So I'm like, oh, I'll do this during the podcast. A little research. We're going to do a little research, and you guys are going to help me, and you'll get a Guitar of the Week out of it. So I first must go back in time to the year 2024. You guys probably remember it. I'm clicking my computer and it's not working. Okay, let's try this. Go here. All right. in November 25th. So about a month and a half from now. So that's why I'm going to do it now. November 25th of 2024, I made a video called What Guitar Would I Buy for $500, which is a weird title, where I went to Guitar Center and I traded in some guitars and I bought a new guitar. So for those that don't remember the video, I'm going to recap it because it's important to this, because this is where the guitar came from. So I had this idea, as you guys know, the Guitar Center, people at Guitar Center is like, hey, do you want to interview the CEO? And I said, sure. And I thought, since they're asking me to do something, like come down and spend time and interview him, I'd ask for something too. And I said, hey, can I film a video in your store? And they got it approved. And so it was not sponsored. They did not pay me. They just gave me permission to shoot in their store. As I've told you guys many before, I know some people say, hey, I just shoot in their store anyways. And I always tell you guys the same thing. Yes, but the last thing I want to happen is the video go viral and then them kill it. So it didn't go viral, but it did really, really, really good. So anyways, I went into the store and I traded 3 guitars and I bought a guitar. If you guys remember, I traded a Epiphone SG, a Squier Stratocaster, and a Harley Benton. I don't even remember what the Harley Benton was, but it was a Harley Benton. And I went in there and they gave me $500 for the 3 guitars, and I found this guitar. So let's talk about what I did. I bought this. This is a 2016 Shawbucker Deluxe Telecaster in black. So it's got the Shawbucker pickups, and they upgraded my case at the time. Because they probably lost the original case. They gave me a actual Fender branded tweed case, which was I guess it's an upgrade. It's a more expensive case than the standard black molded plastic case that they gave me for this guitar. This guitar was $1,000 used. Obviously, it was 2016, and I got $500 in credit. The $500 in credit took off $500 worth of sales tax, and then I put in $530 of cash into it. This was a great video. A lot of people, it did exactly what I hoped it would do. It illustrated a way to do something, and also it caused a kerfuffle. It did. I don't know why I laugh at my own jokes. I think it's because I'm alone in this room. Remember, I'm looking at 3 black soulless cameras. So anyways, the kerfuffle. What happened? What happened was everybody was like, man, those are 3 good guitars. Why did you get that Telecaster? Well, first of all, because I wanted to illustrate a point, which is, how do you upgrade? You take stuff that you don't want, that has lower value, and you trade up. That's how almost everything I've gotten ever has been from some kind of trade up logic. That's just how I've done it for the years. That's how a lot of us do it. However, there was a little bit more to the plan, right? There is this thing that people say all the time. They say, hey, don't trade your stuff at Guitar Center, they'll screw you over. This is true and absolutely false at the same time, and both correct. So this is something that only select people probably know intimately like I do. Not because I've traded a lot, I have. That gives me insight. But obviously owning a store, in other words, being on the other side of the counter from you guys and having to pay my bills with the money I make and pay for my children's school, all the things I've said, right? Actually have a profitable business and have every trade be a potential income for me or loss, and scrutinize the trades. I can tell you when you want to trade to Guitar Center and when you don't want to trade to Guitar Center. And in that video, I knew that a year later we'd be talking about this, so that's what I wanted to do. So the reason why I did that is that when you want to trade to Guitar Center, okay, is when you have stuff that no one else wants. So the problem with a mom and pop store, even though I'll tell you right now, I believe this, most mom and pop stores are going to give you more value than Guitar Center. They just are, especially on trade, but even as a buyout, they're going to tend to give you a better straight deal. Obviously, selling the stuff outright is the best deal ever. You'll get the most for it, but keep in mind you're working for that money too. So it's not like it's just free extra dollars. You have to actually work for it. You're gonna have to meet somebody or ship something. There's gonna be some extra work added. And if you're like, that's no big deal, then it's no big deal. But a lot of you probably would pay anything not to have to talk to somebody. So, anyways, so what I mean by that is this: you would bring me something to my store, and the problem is small stores do this. Small stores will look at an item and they'll go, even though I can pull it up on Reverb and it's selling on Reverb for $600 all day, I just think the likelihood of somebody walking in my store and buying it from me is not very good. I don't have that clientele. They don't buy that kind of product from me, or it's not a hot seller, or I already have 3, right? And therefore I'm going to lowball you really bad or tell you I don't want it altogether. And then sometimes you get upset because you're like, man, they really try to screw me. And you're like, well, kind of, but they also were trying to get you to go away in the nicest way, right? Because if you tell somebody you don't want it, you're kind of insulting because they bought this, right? You're like, hey, I don't want your thing. And you're like, well, it's just sometimes come across as an insult. So you'll just kind of lowball them and think they won't take it. Guitar Center, because they tend to just, even if they have tons of them, they tend to just look in their own system or look online. They just kind of know they're going to sell everything, so they just take stuff. So for instance, if you have that hard to sell item, like a Harley Benton, the irony of this story was that to get those 3 guitars, what I did is I went to Zim's music store in Mesa, Arizona, because I know Zim's. I walked in, because remember, I told Guitar Center, I said, hey, I want to do this video where I take some guitars and I trade in your store. And they said, okay. And they were like, fine, you can film whatever you want. And so then I went to Zim's. I said, hey, I need 3 guitars to trade into Guitar Center. And he thought I was crazy. He's like, why? And I'm like, well, because I need to make a video and I don't have 3 inexpensive guitars to trade to Guitar Center. Like, I want to illustrate this. This is the whole point. I think the video would be interesting. And I don't know what's going to happen because I didn't go into that Guitar Center yet. But I just figured So I said, I told him, I said, and this is why the story is important. He said, well, what do you want? I said, give me an Epiphone, a Squire, and a Harley Benton. And he said, what kind? And I said, whatever you want to get rid of. The 3 guitars that I got from Zim's will gladly tell you this, he couldn't sell. They had sat there for almost a year. The Harley Benton had been there over a year. The Squire had been there much longer. And the Epiphone was probably the only good thing that was probably going to move, but it still had been there for 4 or 5 or 6 months. So remember, in his store, they weren't moving because he had a lot of them and just the clientele wasn't looking at that product. So I took those Guitar Center. Of course, they took them on trade. They gave me the $500. The kerfuffle was people were like, man, you really got screwed on that deal. And I'm like, look, I didn't go into it trying to illustrate to you guys, oh, look what a genius I am. I was just trying to show you guys for convenience purposes. If you don't want to ship stuff across the country and deal with a seller online and box stuff, you can trade stuff in. And if you make the right trade, I think you can fix your situation, okay? I have no idea what's going to happen right now, by the way. This is a mystery to me, and it's definitely a mystery. You don't even know what I'm talking about yet. I bought this guitar for $1,000. This was $999 at Guitar Center. I think it was $998, but whatever, with the case, the upgraded case used. And I paid, obviously, my 3 guitars and $530. But of course, people are like, hey, your guitars were worth more than that because Guitar Center only give you half. So we're going to assume, you can't assume, by the way, that I could have got $1,000 for those 3 guitars. That's stupid because you all know if you throw those 3 guitars on there for that price on Reverb, with the fees alone would take you down to at least 95% of that. I want to just play this game real quick. We're going to do some math. We're going to try to figure out what I have in this guitar and where I'm at into a year later. Did I make a good decision? Was it a bad idea? Besides the fact that I still have it, okay? So I still have it because I like it. It's a good guitar. It plays great. It's light. It's, as you guys know, I've been wanting one of these for a long time. But let's go ahead and say that if we had $1,000 worth of guitars and we're going to sell them on Reverb, after their fees, I'm going to call the fees just 96% if you guys don't have a problem with that. Or not 96%, don't listen to me. 6%. 6%. So I'll get 94% of the value. So $940. So $940 plus the $530, right? So I'm into this guitar for $1,470. Now, I just want to also illustrate that I did not pay $1,000 for those guitars I traded Guitar Center. In fact, I didn't even pay $500 for them. Because one, Zim's gave me a deal because they were sitting there as dead stock. And also, I didn't just pay him cash. I traded him some stuff, and the stuff I traded him to, I had very little into. So, but we won't go that way, okay? We're going to go off the assumption that because of my deal with Guitar Center, which is why some people criticized it, which is a good criticism. I'm not here to prove them wrong. I'm here to see how accurate the internet was. So the naysayers say that I paid $1,470 for this, and I overpaid for this guitar because it was only worth $1,000. On my side, in other words, the people who are for me on what I did, said that I got a great deal because I walked in with 3 import guitars that you could get anywhere that aren't exciting, although they were good, not exciting. I walked out with an actual USA-made Fender guitar that they don't make anymore. This is a discontinued model with the Shawbuckers, so maybe I got a good deal. So let's go ahead. We're going to pull up Reverb. Okay, we're going to drop in Fender Telecaster Deluxe Shawbucker, and we'll look at completed auctions. Okay, here we go. Let's see what they're selling for now. So here's one just like mine. It's just sold for $1,399. It does have the original case. Again, mine has a tweeted case. This one sold for $1,100. I'm not going to open it up. We could to see if it came with a case. It did. Nope. He's just telling you the action. Does it have a case? It's got to have a case. Oh, it does. There's the case. Okay, so $1,100. We're just going to assume for time purposes they all have cases. So $1,100. This is also $1,100. $1,099. This is $1,200. This is $1,077 in red. This is the cool blue one. This is actually the color I preferred a little bit more. $1,100. $1,100. Wow, it's funny somebody paid $14. It must be because it was in perfect condition. This one went for $1,000. Look at that. There's a recent sell. This one went for $14, but I think it's because it was white. And that's, again, just not as, this is a more rare color. This one, obviously, in the gold, looks great. This is a cool color. And I think it has a rosewood neck. It does. It has a rosewood neck. So that's at 16. So we'd illuminate. This one's at 13. So 11. We won't count that one again because that's an upgraded model. This one's 1,000. 1,050, 1,350. I'm wondering if some of these are now we're going so far back because they don't really tell you. Do they tell you when they sold? That would be helpful to know when it sold. Listed 4 months ago. Okay, so 4 months ago. So we're only going 4 months back. That's great. That's still pretty recent. Okay, so I don't know about you guys. I'm saying this guitar's got a value now of $1,100. I kind of feel like with my upgraded tweed case, I could probably say 12. I'm really reaching, as you guys know. I want to do well. So we'll call it 12. If the highest went for 14 and the lowest is going for 1,000 to 1,050, I'm going to say strong 11. So it's gone up $100 since I bought it, right? And it could possibly be up $200 since I bought it. So why don't we call it $150? So essentially, was it a good deal? Let's see. Well, we could argue whether we think the Harley Benton or the Squire or the Epiphone are worth more now. Actually, I already pretty sure they're not. They're worth less because of the way the market's been going. And the market's really soft now too, and that's kind of affecting it. I kind of feel like I still made a good move, especially since it's kind of hold its value and it's maybe even went up a little bit. And I really like it. And I thought this would be fun. First of all, we're going to show it to you and stuff. Let's go through it. I have it plugged in to the, what do I have it plugged into? I have it to my, here we go. I need to switch camera angles. Oh, I'm so confused what I'm doing. Let's try this one. Let's move this. Here we go. Look at that. Is it in tune? Probably not. Give me a second. What's in tune? What's not in tune? Okay, we have it plugged up into our overdrive, Wonderland overdrive, Amplified Nation. Okay, got a little bit of, we're gonna start with the neck pickup. No, yeah, let's go with the neck pickup. Here we go. Okay, the bridge. these pickups. All right, I just wanted to have fun. Okay, so I'm like, after a while, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I just want to kind of give you a sound sample. That's kind of the fun. So this is the guitar. A year later, I said I'm going to call it, I'm up $150 in a down market or in a soft market. I think I'm still happy with my decision. I mean, obviously I made the video, and I just want to be very clear. I kind of, when I do videos like that, I just want to kind of illustrate something and show you guys a way of thinking, good or bad. Maybe it fits your needs, maybe it doesn't. I think for everyone who came up with the idea that they don't want to do that, I think that's a great choice for you. And that's the point of the video. And everybody who says they want to do it, I think that's a great choice for you. That was the purpose of the video. But it was kind of fun, and I thought it would be nice to do an update and do a guitar of the week. And I was like thinking about going, I was playing the other day going, yeah, I wonder where it's at. And I was going to look it up, and I'm like, I was busy editing, and I was like, well, maybe I'll do it on Friday's show. So we did it on Friday's show. All right. Let's see. Any thoughts? Yes, it says nifty camera angle. Yeah, that's a new one. Goes like this. You go, hey, what's up? I'm way over here. And then we got this one, which now you can see my mic. Yeah, I know. More cameras. More cameras is more. Okay. Happy Good Thing says, I dig the guitar and the playing. It sounds like Keith Richards. Yeah, it's got that, to me, it's got the blues rock, just, like I said, it just sounds great, feels great. I kind of want to change the pick guard. I don't know why, from black to like, I don't know. I thought about like a tortoise, and then I talked myself out of it. Just leave it alone. Nice guitar. Telly Driver says a mic cam white. It's not a microphone cam. It's this. So it's the mic's in the way. When you see the guitar, the mic slides out of the way. Then you see the guitar and it's back. I don't know. Just thought I'd share. Okay. I'm like a choreographer here. Got to do all my tap dancing and do all my stuff. Okay. All right. Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you. Enrico says, hey, why do players say there's a difference in feel between fretboard woods? Perfect example is I was just playing a maple fretboard. It's because usually the way their fingers feel on it. So some people like this. Usually when you have maple, it's either going to be sanded really smooth, or in this case, this maple has a polyurethane finish on it. Sometimes, of course, it has nitro. It's nitrocellulose lacquer, but either way, it's finished. There's a finish. That's why it's glossy. So this feels slippery to some people and sticky to others, depending on how well you do with either, glossy back necks or satin necks or unfinished necks. Same thing with fretboards. Some people don't like that you can feel the grain in a rosewood fretboard. Sometimes, they just don't like that. You can feel like all the little fibers of wood underneath your fingers. So that's what they're noticing. It really depends on whether or not you push down hard enough for your fingers to rub on the fretboard, or you have frets that are tall enough or short enough. So I could argue for fun that when you say, hey, I don't like the way this fretboard feels, I'll say, hey, you don't like having really low frets. Because if you have tall enough frets, you wouldn't feel it for the most part. You still kind of glide over it a little bit. But I do have a preference, and it's really just, I don't like it to feel like, I've gotten rosewood sometimes where the fibers are just really far apart and it feels too rough. So I buffed it. I'll buff my fretboard out. So you can buff fretboards. Fender's known for buffing their rosewood fretboards as well. You just buff the fretboard. Susan says she likes ebony. Same thing. Ebony would be tight grain, feels really good. I like it as well for that feeling as well. So, okay. All right, here's one. Any idea which way used guitar prices will go in the short term? Buy low, sell high. That's all I can say. I want to rebuy a mid-2000s Gibson that I regret selling. My strong opinion, even during the boom, I was getting deals. Sure, did I buy overbuy sometimes, pay too much? Sure, but that wasn't the market. That was me. You decide. You decide what you pay, not the market. And when I say that, I mean, you just trust me. Somebody's out there. This isn't like the housing market. That's a different world. This is a small commodities market, I should say, where basically there's always an opportunity for whatever you're looking for. So I would say, the sad part is if the prices come down as a whole, that's probably not going to help you too much anyways. You just want to be strategic with what you're buying. I do it all the time. I did it the other day. I saw a guitar. I thought the price was okay. I thought if it's a little better price, maybe I'd buy it. I thought it could be a good video. And so I messaged them and I said, hey, oh no, that's actually not true. That's not what it was. It wasn't a price thing. It was a clarifying question. He had a good deal on it. And I thought it'd be a good video, and I had a question. I sent him the email, the question, and then while I was waiting for the answer, it sold. So I don't regret it because since my question was never really answered, if it wasn't what I thought, if it didn't have the thing I thought, then it wouldn't matter to me. So again, I guess my point is if you want a mid-2000s Gibson, you look for them, you hunt for them, you hunt a lot. You will find them. I look every day. So, all of my guitars that I have that are important to me, things that I've always wanted, I just hunted for them forever and ever and ever until one made sense. And sometimes makes sense is not, it's cheap, it's super cheap. Sometimes it's in the condition I want. Sometimes it's the color I want or the weight I want or what I want. And it's not about the price, and sometimes it's absolutely about the price, So it's, So the, my point is I wouldn't worry about the market, good or bad, when it comes to just finding your deal. You'll find your deal no matter what. There's always somebody who has something. And keep in mind, that's why trading is important in this part of our world, the industry. The best deals I ever got on guitars as a whole, the majority, is trades. The best deals, because here's why, the best deals I ever got were with friends. And with friends, they tend to take care of you and I take care of them. But, you want to be fair. And sometimes the best way to be fair is trade things because, it's a perfect example is like, hey, if a good example that's actually happened, like, hey, there's a guitar and it's worth $2,500. And I'm like, $2,500. And, and if they take $2,000, that's not fair to them. They could get 25, but obviously they want to give me a deal because I'm their friend, but obviously they don't want to sell it for cheaper than they know they can get. And so one of us I either have to pony up. So you could come with a fair price and say $22.50 and I suffer a little bit and he suffers a little bit and we're both happy. Sure, you could do that. But a lot of times what happens is like, well, why don't I find something that you really want? And I trade him that. And when I say that, I want to be very clear. When I say trade, a lot of times because I have it, I'm like, I'll trade you something I have. Sometimes I just go find what they want. I've done that multiple times, I'm not ashamed of this, what I'm about to tell you, but I'm not super proud of it. But it's maybe twice in my life, for sure twice, because I can think of the two instances. Somebody on Craigslist would post something like, and I'll give an example so it doesn't get exactly out. Let's say they'll go, hey, I have I'll use a Warwick bass. I have a Corvette standard Warwick bass that they'll sell for $1,500 or trade for an American Deluxe jazz bass. And I'll go, oh, I can get my hands on an American Jazz Deluxe bass for like $1,000. So I would message them and be like, what color are you looking for? What are you looking for? And they tell me. And then I would go find that bass because that bass was easy. Like and so you just find it. And then once you find a couple, you go, okay, what will you take? And you're just trying to think of this. I already know the Warwick bass is $1,400. So if I get it for $1,390, I'm saving $10, right? So I'm like, could you take $1,000? No. Will you take $1,050? No, 1,080. Sure, done. And that's how you get the Warwick for 1,080. You go, okay, I have this bass and I'm gonna trade. In fact, in that particular case, which is not exactly what I traded for, I took a picture of it. It was at a store. I took a picture of it. I sent it to the guy. I'm like, would you trade for this? And he's like, yeah. And I go, okay, I'll buy it. And I took it to him and we traded. In fact, I think the funny story was I bought it at the music store and then I had him meet me in front of that music store. But anyways, I'm just saying, look, this is a luxury guitar playing. You know, we're very lucky to be spending our afternoon on Friday talking about it and very lucky to have it. And whatever your guitar is, whether it's $100 or it's $100,000 or whatever you have that makes you happy, it's expensive to you. Every instrument I've ever bought my whole life has been expensive to me, no matter what the price was, because it's always been relative to whatever I could afford at the time. And what's the saying? Like, champagne tastes with a beer budget. Geez, that's me for no matter what, because I'm so passionate about this. It never changes. There's no amount that I go, oh, I finally make enough money I can buy the thing I want. No, what happens is everything just seems so ludicrous because the prices keep going up. So if I can't figure out a way to buy it with a clean conscience and feel good about having it, I just don't do it. But in your case, I would say you'll find the deal. Like I said, your money will run out before the deals do is a great saying. I like to say it all the time. So Dale wants to know, can I use turtle wax or can he use turtle wax or a similar product to fill in smaller scratches in nitro finish? I have no idea. I'm not a finish person, so I don't know. I can probably reach out and see if I can find that answer from somebody I know, but I just don't know the answer. Sorry, buddy. Let's see. Jeff says, hey, Phil, I'm moving to a small place lacking in places to easily get small repairs work done. What's the best way to learn setup and simple repairs? Well, I mean, obviously I got videos. There's tons of videos on YouTube. Videos on YouTube are very, very good. But I will tell you that the best skill comes from getting yourself in a situation that you have to get out of. It's weird. Before there was instant, easy instruction everywhere. Okay. Which, by the way, this is a way of thinking at this. Instead of watching like a how-to video and then doing it step by step, one of the things I would recommend is trying to figure it out and then using how-to videos to get yourself out of the situation you've created. Because what happens is I think a lot of times, your fear is that you're going to mess something up. And I've really learned that messing something up is how you learn the most. Because now you're in a position, and maybe it's not good advice. I don't know. And now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds like horrible advice. But it's something I've done so much in my life. I'll take it apart, and I guess I'll have to figure out how to put it back together. And if anything, I feel more emboldened to do that with now I have the access to the internet to go, well, if I can't figure it out, I'm sure I can figure out someone who figured it out and learn a little bit from them. But I think when it comes to repair, I think trying it. Now, should you try things with your most cherished guitar? I don't think that's a good plan, right? But taking a guitar, an inexpensive guitar, which is there's plenty of them out there. I mean, that you cannot, you used to not be able to buy that kind of experience and knowledge so cheap. The information is relatively inexpensive now. Most cases it's free, okay? In most cases. But really, the thing that was always expensive was just having the practical ability to get the tools and the obviously like the I want to say cadavers. Isn't that weird? You need you need a cadaver. You do need a guitar to kind of learn your experience on. And I think Ralph might have said this on a podcast years ago when he came on once. He ratted me out. This is a true story. So when Ralph decided he was going to learn how to repair instruments, he came to me and said, hey, I want to learn how to repair instruments. And I would teach him a few things, like literally a few things. Like here, you do this, you do that. This is simple things. And then almost like a Mr. Miyagi moment, he's like, okay, I want to learn how, to do setups. And so I took, you'd have to ask him for sure. I think 20 I think it had to be at least 10. Could have been 20. 20 brand new in box Squire bullets, which at the time were $99 a piece. We paid $67 each for them, dealer cost. And I took them all, stacked them up, and I said, set up every single one of those guitars and come to me with questions. And he did them all. And he got really good. So that taught, he'll tell you to this day, he's like, he could have sat there and I could have just taught him stuff. But he said, that's what would happen. He'd work on them and he'd come to me. And every time it was almost like a crisis. Hey, this broke off. And I'm like, oh, that's easy. We can glue back on. That's easy to fix. And then we just fix it. So I would say that's my advice. Always is my advice is to do stuff. Get yourself inexpensive guitars and just do it. And watch some videos, and then get some basic tools. Don't worry about what they cost. It doesn't matter. Keep in mind, good quality tools make your job easier. They make it faster, and they sure as hell last a lot longer. None of that stuff matters at the beginning. There is the saying, buy once, cry once. So buying better tools is a good investment. If you want to do so, I recommend it highly, but I understand if you want to keep it on the cheap, as we've all done when we're starting out. Robot Shlomo, hey, is there one guitar brand that may play and sound great, but you can't get past the way it looks? For me, that's Yamaha. It just doesn't seem like they got cool. No, I don't care anymore. I used to care, and caring screwed me more than anything. Every brand that I loved the way it looked sounded like ass. To this day, I collect guitars that are aesthetically pleasing but sound horrible, and I don't like them. I'm not going to shame the brands. You probably could figure it out because I keep buying them. I buy them. They're like wall art. I get them and I go, this thing sounds like cardboard. Like it just doesn't have anything going for it. And I told you everything. Like every guitar when I was starting out guitar, I got the fake looking Strat guitar. Mine was a JB player, and I thought it looked horrible. It looked like, I thought the Strat was the ugliest thing ever. It looked like something that your grandpa played. And I was trying to be cool. By the way, not for girls. I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking I just wanted to be cool. Who doesn't want to be cool? I was like, maybe this will make me cool. No, I'm not sure. I just wanted to play guitar. And I wanted to feel cool playing guitar. And that guitar just did not make me feel cool. And all the guitars that I thought looked cool, I would get them. And I didn't like them. I didn't like the bridge. It was too weird. Or I didn't like the neck. It was too thin. And it didn't sound the way I wanted. And I would just force myself for years. I would go down this road, forcing myself to play things that looked cool. And then you would pick things up. And I use a perfect example as the SG. The SG on paper, if you look at the majority of my guitars, they are a little thinner bodied. They're light on the lighter side. The neck plays pretty easy, like a 60s style Gibson neck. The humbuckers sound a little full. I mean, on paper, an SG is I did a video long time ago, and it was talking about how to buy the perfect guitar, right? And the way this is how, if you're conscientious and you sell things for a living, you do tend to worry about, whether or not you help people in the best way. It's just something you think about. And so when people come into the store and I would have to sell them a guitar, I would want them to buy the best guitar for them. And so I kind of learned a philosophy, and that's why I taught it in that video. I'm gonna talk about it real quick now on how to help somebody pick the perfect guitar. And the way you do it is you write down as many things as you can, as quickly as you can, about what matters to you. Don't think about it, right? Just go, name something that matters to you. I'll give you an example. Guitar stays in tune. That matters to me the most. If a guitar doesn't stay in tune, I get really irritated, right? You could almost see it when I was playing that Telly a second ago and I felt like one of the strings were out. You just see look, there's a reason why I have clip-on tuners on every headstock, and everybody goes, they look horrible. I go, I don't care, because I just don't want to be out of tune, right? It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. You're like, when I'm out of tune, I can't figure out if my playing sucks or it's the guitar. I want to know, like, I want it as effortless as possible. I want to keep my stress down. I want to keep the enjoyment optimized. So I care if a guitar stays in tune. Maybe you care if a guitar looks good. Write that down. Maybe you care if a guitar has a tremolo arm. Maybe tremolo. That's important to you. Or you hate that. That's important to you. Write that down. The guitar sounds like Led Zeppelin, or the guitar sounds like the Ventures, or the guitar sounds like, Pantera. Write that down. Here's my argument. If you write down enough things, whether it's a 6 or 7 or 10 things, it stays in tune. It sounds like this band that I like, or this music, or it can make this kind of music I want. It has either a hardtail or a tremolo that matters to me. It has this style of pickup. In other words, it has the ability to have single coil tones, or it just has fuller sound. It's light. It's heavy. It feels good on a strap on my shoulders, or it feels good in my lap. Write that down. Be honest with yourself. You write those things down. I tell you why you do this. You go in a store and you pick up a guitar, and this is what happens. I've watched it 1,000 times, and I still can't explain the logic to it that happens only in stores, but it happens. Everything that didn't matter to you matters to you in the store, and everything that mattered to you, you're not paying attention to. You'll go in the store and you'll be like, but I don't like the way it looks. You're like, well, was that on your list? No. If it was, then maybe, but that's not what I experienced. They'll play the guitar and they'll put on their list, it stays in tune, and it doesn't have a tremolo, and it has single coils, and it's light. And they'll pick up a guitar and they'll go, man, this looks cool, but it's heavy and it kind of doesn't stay in tune, and it has a tremolo. I'll take it. Or this is actually a crazy thing that people do. They'll go into the store. I've heard this advice. It's shit advice. Have a budget. Don't have a budget. Okay? Have a list in your head. Write it down on a piece of paper. Or put it on your phone. Remember it. Here's why I say that. People will pick up a guitar and they'll go, this is good, but it's only $300 and I was going to spend $500. So what do you have for like $400? Because now your brain's going, I'll save $100, but I'll get something a little nicer than $300. And I would say, well, you put on your list, it stays in tune. It does. It's light. You put that on your list. It looks cool. It does. It doesn't have a tremolo. Great. It has single coils. Yes. And it's $200 less. It's the right guitar. Why are you trying to find another guitar? If it's right. And so, like I said, I've learned this list to really help you. And what you'll learn is that some time goes by, you don't need that list. Every guitar player just inherently just understands it. So to answer your question about guitars that are ugly, I used to care about that. I just don't anymore. I can tell you right now, and again, this is where you get in trouble, but I'm just, I'll get in trouble today. I lose a couple of subscribers. It happens every week anyways. I think PRSs are ugly as shit. I always thought they looked like old people's guitars when I was a kid. Carlos Santana, he's an amazing guitar player, but he was older than my dad, as far as I know. I have no idea if that's true. I just know when I saw him in Guitar World magazine, when I saw Carlos Santana for the first time, I thought, oh my God, that guy's older than my dad. He's playing guitar. I don't know if that's true. I'm just telling you what I thought. I thought that was ugly guitar. Okay? And so I was not a PRS guy. I thought Gibsons were ugly. You know who played Gibsons when I was a kid? Guys in biker bars played Gibsons through PBs. Like I said, I kind of grew up, I started playing guitar in 89. And then here's what happened. The cool metal looking guitars, that's what looked cool to me, but I didn't like the way they sounded and played. And then that whole genre just got wasted by the by the grunge movement, but that doesn't matter. What matters to this is that over time, I would focus on these things like the looks. And I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. What I'm saying is your question was, do I? And I'm explaining to you why I gave up. The guitars behind me are representative mostly of, let's play a game. For most of my life, if 70% of how long I've been playing guitar, I thought PRSs are ugly. There's one right there. 70% of my life or more, I thought Strats looked lame and boring. There's another PRS, I thought that was ugly. The Jazzmaster, I thought was a disaster. That ugly, when I say ugly, I mean this beautiful, that 80s looking metal thing with the orange pickups and the green Kiesel, I custom had that made because I think that's what I think is cool. I think it looks like a sports car and it looks amazing. The Firebird I thought was ugly. The Warlock, for a time I thought it was cool. Then I thought it was lame and old and, because then it got, it was outdated. But then I thought it was cool again. It's cool again, right? El Dunerito says, BC Rich smells like Lita Ford. You know what's funny is, can I just tell you a funny story about this? I wanted a BC Rich is it the reverse headstock? Is that what that is? A reverse. Let's take a look. I gotta look. When Lita Ford's video came out, Kiss Me Deadly, she would pound. It looked like in the video she was pounding the headstock on the floor, and I remember thinking like, I want to do that. So I don't remember if it was reverse or not reverse. I just remember all I wanted was whatever that was. But anyways, like I said, so to some point, just like with G&L, the headstock's ugly. I got to the point where I just don't care about that. And now when you ask me, and this is a hard question to ask or answer, what headstocks do I like? And I know we were talking about headstocks. We were talking about guitars, but I just want to do headstocks. I don't know if I actually like any of the headstocks in this room. So, isn't that funny? So like I said, it's just weird. There's guitars I like, sure, more than others, but it just became less of a thing for me. And just more of, but I understand if you guys can't get past it. Robot Shlomo, if you're like, hey man, I can't get past it, I understand it. The question is there a guitar so ugly I wouldn't own? I don't know if that's the question, but we'll just do that. Is there a guitar so ugly I wouldn't own? No, there's a guitar that's so awkward I wouldn't own it. So for instance, if a guitar shape was just too weird, or if it was too weird, I just wouldn't own it. Because again, on my list, comfort is absolutely on the list. So comfort is really important to me. How it feels when I play it. It doesn't poke me. It doesn't make me think about anything. I just want to feel ergonomically like it's comfortable. So the more ergonomic, the better. So I just lost a bunch of people for no reason. All right. The good thing about those, when people unsubscribe every week, I'm pretty sure we look at the analytics and it looks like they subscribe the following week back. They come back. Like I piss them off for a week and then they come back and try it again. I think maybe, I don't know. Somebody has a bass question. So this is a good, we could change the subject. It says, what do you think about the full contact bridge on Thunderbirds? I don't really think about it at all. Like, I mean, I've played Thunderbirds. I probably worked on one or two over the years, maybe, but probably mostly Epiphones. So I'm not really versed in it. Billy wants to know how many new Strat and Tele models can Fender release in a year. So that's a good segue into a fun story. So Fender released new product this year. Let's talk about that. It's the new Fender American Pro. Is that what it's called? American Pro? What? Okay, Pro. For those wondering what I'm laughing is that if you look at this camera is this microphone's in my face. So can this camera see it? No, you can't really see it this way. But anyways, yeah, you can. See this mic? This mic is in front of my keyboard. So sometimes when I'm typing things and I typed Pro, but I typed PRIO and it found something weird because the camera's in my way. Or the microphone's in my way, I'm sorry. No, what's the new? Let's just type in Fender and look at the new Fender guitars. So if you guys didn't know, Fender came out with new guitars this week. There's the Ultralux. That's not it. Why? You guys are probably putting in the comments what it is, but I'm trying to actually find them so we can actually discuss it. So let's go to solid body guitars. We'll discuss the lineup. I purposely did not look at this line this week. I want to tell you there's a backstory on this. Fender did reach out to me, but not in a cool way. Okay, am I missing it? Fender did come out with new guitars. Yeah, right? Huh. Professional Classic. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Excuse me. Let's go here. Okay, so Fender came out with new guitars called the Fender American Professional Classic. Everybody loves them. They're the greatest thing this week. Why could you not love them? I mean, new guitars are new guitars. What are my thoughts? I did not know they're $1,500. Oh my goodness. So what is a professional tune now? Is that $1,800 then? $1,700? Woo! Do I feel like the entry level's at $1,500, huh? Is that where we're at? Okay. So that's my first reaction. Woo to the price tags. There's one that made me laugh and I couldn't get past it. This one, I gotta just tell you. Look, I thought when I first saw that they kind of brought the Nashville Tele, I was like, oh, Nashville Tele? But then when they renamed it, I was like, now it's called the Hot Shot Padu. The Hot Shot. This is the new Hot Shot. Classic professional Hot Shot. Dude, this is the dumbest name, Hot Shot. Come on, Fenders. What's wrong with you? Hot Shot. Hey, what's Hot Shot? I think when I think of Fender, I think of old, and I think of myself as old, and then I think, well, something's wrong because Hot Shot's what jerky PE teachers called you. Hey, Hot Shot, did you dress out today? Hey, Hot Shot, right? I feel like Hot Shot is something. Hot Shot's not a cool thing in my mind. Hot Shot's what you call somebody. Hot Shot's what you call somebody when you're trying to be an asshole, right? You're like, nice job, Hot Shot. That's how I feel about. That's how I feel about the new Fender Hot Shot. Like, what do you think? Oh, I'm on the wrong page. This one. What do you think of this new Fender? It's for hot shots like you who have $1,500. You have $1,500 and you feel like a hot shot. You buzz guitar. I'm killing this routine, by the way. Color wise is great. The green is cool. I thought the Sherwood green's good. Obviously, I like that they're doing the butterscotch. This is cool. I like the pickup configuration. Overall, I like the guitar. Weights look good. Look at that. 7 pounds on the lighter side. It's nice. That's good. $1,500, hey, we're not going to be happy with that. I'm not happy about any prices anymore. I feel like everything just feels like a shell shock of price tags. But these are the new guitars. So Fender came out with new guitars. I don't know what's going on. It's like Fender needs to come out with a new name for a new guitar every couple years, or it just, I don't know what that is. There's a logic to it. I kind of just hate to say it. It's just obviously some marketing thing that they're in a marketing room and somebody who went to school for marketing is like explaining the logic of this every day. And, yeah, we need new guitars. And you're like, hey, but how do you sell the same old guitar, but as a new price? And you're like, you call it a new thing and you just put a new name on it. And you know what? As stupid as that is, I like Fenders, so I like that Fender came out with this. They reached out to me. They asked me if I would interview some VP or something, and I didn't. Let's just say that. Not in a negative way. I was just like, yeah, I don't want to. I if anything, I was just trying to figure out, so you guys know, really on my level, I'm just trying to figure out if this is worth buying one of these guitars and doing a deep dive of it, if that's even worth it to you guys. Let me know in the comments if there's a particular model that you'd like to see on the channel, and we'll maybe think about putting on the channel. I mean, the only thing I'm really making fun of is the name isn't great and the hotshot thing's stupid. But other than that, excuse me. Other than that, I don't know why I couldn't hit my mute button. I even like the faded black color. This is cool. It's gray, but that's cool. I like it. I like it with the tortoise pickguard. Again, consistency and weight, 7 pounds, 6 ounces. That's legit. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. That's a light Strat. What pickups are they putting in this, by the way? Let's take a look at this. I saw somebody showed me they have a copper one. I'm like, of course they do. They've made a copper one many times now. It's the Fender Coastline 57 single coil. Okay, so sounds interesting. I don't know what that is. It's probably repackaged. They like to do a lot of repackaging. Synthetic bone nut. So of course they're not going to give you a bone nut until you give them some premium money. You got to give them some professional 2 money, but that's fine. I mean, their other models had that too. I mean, that doesn't really tell me anything overall. Looks good. I'd say my overall take on it is it's a win. When I say it's a win, I mean it's not bad. If you don't want one, it's just because you don't want one, or you already have 10 Strats. I mean, that's my thing right now. I already have 4 or 5 Strats and a couple of Tellys and a couple Jazz Masters. So, I mean, I'm not in the market is what I'm trying to say. But if I was in the market, they look legit. I mean, the price isn't fun, but that's more of a just, reacting to the inflationary cost of prices. I'm not used to, like I said, I thought professional twos were $1,500 for some reason, and these were like 12. So, multi Revelator says that's faded fire mist gold, not copper, baby. Okay, let's look at it. Now I'm curious to see if, so they got the burgundy mist. Let's hold on. Let's see if it's really fire mist gold. Because remember, they can just name a color whatever they want. But the Vintage 2. There's Shoreline Gold. Why am I not seeing this color? I apologize, everybody. I'm taking forever on this. Oh, here it is. Fire Mist Gold. Yeah, this might be a different color than copper, right? Yeah. The reason I'm saying that, by the way, just so you know, so I'm so you don't think I'm being snippy with you, my copper Strat's not copper. I think I've told you guys this funny story. When I had Fender make the copper Strats for the store, they gave me a sample of the copper paint they use, and I didn't like it, and I thought I looked horrible. And why that was hard is, so I had them to use a different color, and they said, "Oh, that's not the color." Actually, I'll just tell you, I was bronze. I said, "Oh no, I want this color," and they go, "That's bronze," and I go, "Yeah, I want it that, but I want to call it copper." So we called it copper because we got to name them because it was for a store. I don't know if you guys know that, like the Wildwood guitars and stuff. So Wildwood guitars are Wildwood orders guitars, just like Chicago Music Exchange orders guitars, and then it has their branding on it. I don't know if you guys know, but my copper Strat has my store's branding on it, on the backplate and stuff, because we ordered them just like they did. We ordered enough custom shops, they did it. So when I did it, I did bronze, and we called it copper. But a lot of people had trouble because if you look at mine, it's brown, it's not copper. So it's kind of funny. Okay, let's button this up. Let's button this show up. I'm sure we want to play guitar and do fun things for the weekend. Okay, so happy good thing. He's talking about Jack. He says, "Hey, sorry to be unclear. Jack seemed very practical." He's talking about Jack Higginbotham from PRS, and reasonable when talking about wood. Unlike Paul, also check out Fender's new yellow soft cases. Very cool. Oh, well, now we got to do that. Okay, so sidestep. We got to look at the Fender's new soft cases. Yellow Fender new yellow soft case. Is that what we're going to refer to gig bags all the time? Oh, wow. This is either the most horrible thing I've ever seen or I love it. You know what this is? This is the Hello Kitty gig bag. That's funny. It's got to be. I have the Hello Kitty gig bag, and it looks just like this, and it's pink. So $200. So they probably said, "Hey, what other colors can you do besides pink?" I will tell you the problem with the Hello Kitty gig bag. I have it. I bought a Hello Kitty gig bag. Let's do the look. Hello Kitty. What? Gig bag. Come on. Hello Kitty. Gig bag. They called that a gig bag, right? Not a soft case? They're out. They don't have them. No more. Hello Kitty. Anyways, the Hello Kitty gig bag. I bought one, and I'll tell you, it sucks. It's horrible. Literally, if you do anything to it, it's dirty. Nope, I guess not, because well, they look pretty similar, but they're different. Here, I'll just show you guys. See, but this is what I got. See, the back looks like the same, but the front looks a little different, but maybe it is the same. I don't know. What I'll tell you about this case is I bought it. I don't know what I paid for it. Probably $140 like this. Some ridiculous price tag. I thought it'd be cool. I thought it'd be fun to put my guitar in a Hello Kitty gig bag. I figured out in seconds that if you were to take that case anywhere, it's going to look dirty as hell, and it's going to look like an old beat up pink case, which looks really weird. So, but yeah, the yellow case looks cool for a premium gig bag. You know, gig bags are expensive now. That's just how it is. You know, I mean, you can look, here's the good news. You can get gig bags affordable, just like you can get anything affordable, or you can pay good money for it. It's up to you. You know, it says Fender on it and it's yellow. There's the premium for that. They know they got something unique and fun. But back to the comment that we were working on before, which is still off that same question. What happy good thing I want to talk about was, so Jack Higginbotham, COO of Paul Reed Smith, he says he sounds basically more reasonable when talking about wood. Jack's more reasonable about everything. You know, I don't know if you guys know, so I've told this before. Jack started out at PRS in 1985 sanding guitars. He started out at the beginning. He was like basically with Paul from the very beginning. If you've ever talked to both of them, you can tell why they're worked together for 40 years. I mean, they've been working together for 40 years. Jack has done pretty much every job at PRS. You know, he's worked every kind of department. He's worked everything. He's well liked, and he is everything that Paul is not, and Paul is everything that Jack is not, if that makes any sense. And I just like Jack. Jack's more my speed, right? Jack. That doesn't mean anything. Paul's smart, and Paul has, you know, Paul's Paul. It's not a negative thing. It's just there's different personalities. So yeah, Jack is definitely more approachable. That's better yet. I don't want to say likable. He's definitely more approachable, and he definitely has more even. He has more even killed opinions, but he still has opinions. There's pretty so you know. I'm working with right now to get Jack and do the podcast with me, and we'll talk about all kinds of stuff. I want him to talk about his pizza thing and his other stuff, and so I think it's really cool to give you a different perspective of things. Okay. After a while, I'm like, how many screens do I have up now? Okay. This question is, do you like the look of the Vela? He's talking about the PRS Vela. I do. I had two Velas over time. I don't have any anymore, but that's because I had to pare down guitars. I still am paring down guitars, so you guys know. You know, the what you guys see, just like what you're seeing behind me right now, is a mix of guitars that I'm doing videos for. My guitar collection here, and then we'll end on this note, is a mix of essentially three different kinds of things. There's some of my personal guitars, because obviously I'm a guitar player and I like it. And there's the guitars that are coming in, which means they're coming in to do a video. So they're here for a video, or they're here because they were in a video and I still have them. So I have a lot of guitars boxed up, and because, you know, I did the video and now I don't know what to do with the guitar. So when I say that, you understand, I buy the guitars sometimes. I buy them from the companies when I keep them. Sometimes the companies give them to me as a compensation piece. But the majority of guitars that I do for videos do not stay. 95% is, to be fair, 95%. And I'll just say 9 out of 10, just keep it easy. 9 out of every 10 guitars that I get, whether I buy them or they're shipped to me or whatever, they're not staying here. Very few of them actually stay forever for any particular reason. Mostly, and so you know, it's not even my personal collection needs. It's just I already have something like that. I don't need multiples. I think I told you. I told you a funny story. I told you a couple months ago we did a thing where we sold, like, I don't know, what did we sell? Like 10 guitars? I thought we sold like 10 guitars in a month, you guys. And I said I had to sell 30 guitars. And I'll never forget this. I told you guys, I said, one of my friends was watching the podcast and he says, "Oh, I saw you had to sell 30 guitars and you sold 10. And he says, "How many do you have left?" And I know he's waiting for me to say something funny. And I go, 42. And he goes, "Yeah, that's funny." And I go, "No, I'm serious." It went up. Because guitars are coming in for the video. So right now, I don't know how many guitars we have to sell, but it's probably 30 or 40 is still the number. And they just sit. And for those of you who like want to, here's the problem. And when people reach out all the time, they just don't have, it doesn't matter. We'll sell them when it's time. People always like, "Hey, would you like to sell that?" And then they throw these ridiculously low offers. And we're like, "No, we can wait. We'll just sell them." Or, you know, we'll figure out what to do with them when it's time. But yeah, if you're going to have a guitar channel, you're going to rotate guitars. It's just part of the thing. Okay, so what else do we got? That's it. I think we covered everything. We solved all the world's problems. I feel better. If I missed anything, we'll scoop it up later. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. The Cortec video will be out soon. Like I said, it needs to get sent to Cortec, and they need to approve it and make sure there's nothing in there they don't want you guys to see. And we'll do that. And that's it. That's the show. We did it. We came together. We hung out as a group. We learned. We learned. We had fun. And I want to thank you guys. I'm looking around to see if there's any cool things I can share with you last minute. I always like at the end, like share anything cool at the last. I just got any cool things to share. So I think I'll go back to work. All right, guys, you have an amazing weekend. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next week. Please be good to each other. Be good to the moderators. Be good to yourselves. Play some guitar. And I'll see you next week. If you're learning something or having a good time, don't forget you can subscribe for free and help this channel. Or for $10 a month, you can join me on Patreon for live clinics where you can ask questions every single